Okay. All right, well, let's see, we need to approve this report and I guess accept it into the
Make a
minute.
motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Patke to approve the report. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We've approved the report. Thank you.
2020 building report.
As Tom provided you with the report back in the workshop, we've got it on the agenda again to go ahead and accept into the minutes of the council meeting.
So move.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Obermark, seconded by Holtmeyer to accept the 2020 building report into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the report. Thank you.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance authorizing and directing the City of Washington to accept the bid from NOC Technology for the purchase of 50 new Dell Optiplex 5080 micro desktop computers.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. These are the computers that Mary spoke about at our previous meeting. Are there any questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the City of Washington to accept the bid from NOC Technology for the purchase of 50 new Dell Optiplex 5080 micro desktop computers. Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Solentrep,
Yes.
Obermark,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Pettit,
Aye.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Scornia.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the City of Washington to accept the bid from Schaefer Door for replacement installation of garage door openers at the Fire Department headquarters.
Hydrich.
Introduced by Councilman Hydrich to the item that Tim talked about at the previous meeting. Any questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the City of Washington to accept the bid from Schaefer Door for replacement installation of garage door openers at the Fire Department headquarters. Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Solentrep,
Yes.
Obermark,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Pettit,
Aye.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Scornia.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance accepting the bid from Old Dominion Brush Company, ODB, Richmond, Virginia, to approve the purchase of a 2021 ODB DCL 800 TM14 leaf vacuum by the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer.
Good evening, council. We brought this up at the previous meeting. This is replacing a leaf machine that we have. It's a 2002 model. We are buying this off the Sourcewell state bid, or the Sourcewell bid, and we are buying directly from the manufacturers. Saved us a little bit of money, so.
Any
This is
questions?
identical to the other two vacuums that we also have at the time.
Any
I'm not
questions?
opposed to getting a new one. I'm just opposed to the leaf pickup because I think we should do something different. We spend a lot of money on it, and it's always an issue every year on getting there. Not our city guys. It just ends up being a lot of man hours to do that. So, again, I'd love to have a discussion with supplying waste bags and people deal with it themselves instead of spending $100,000 on another vacuum.
We, just for the record, we did meet with an individual today, actually, who had thrown out a report to us, basically, or presented a report to us that they could go ahead and do it in lieu of the city, possibly. It's the first time that's ever come to that I can remember. I don't think Tony or John had ever been approached before, but we told them that certainly we would take a look and see if that's something that we wanted to pursue, and that certainly during budget time, we could do that. But again, with the council, if you want us to go ahead and take a look at, we're all ears. I know that it's a difficult program for our guys to go ahead and do, and ever since it's been put in place, I don't want to, Tony can go ahead and speak directly, but I mean, I think they had the smoothest that they've ever had, which was this past year, due to, we had our own guys working, our own full-time crew was there, and they did it very efficiently, but we also didn't have any interruptions with inclement weather.
Yep.
So,
We had good weather
How long is that price good for?
till the end of the month. At the end of the month, there's a $7,000 increase or steel increase.
I would also add to that, I mean, there's approximately 6,500 stops. I mean, basically water meters, residential water meters, and everybody utilizes the function. But keep in mind, I mean, I think $82,000 is what we spent man-hours and equipment last year.
Correct.
On just getting done. So you take 82,000 divided by 6,500, it comes up to something around $12.65-ish a home to have that service. So yes, it's a lot of money. I'm not denying that. Yes, it's a pain. The good thing is, I guess, when you want to look at positives, is the time of the year we are transitioning out of actual projects in the summer into a wintertime mode operation. So any change in operation, again, I feel it would have to be reviewed just like the trash is reviewed. What are we going to do with those man hours that were dedicated for basically, a month? I mean, just total man hours of a month. What are we going to do with those personnel? And I've not come up with a solution with that yet. So any of those discussions, it's easy to say, yeah, we'll just have them do something else. But you have to figure out what that something else is. And I'm not saying there isn't always things to do. I'm just saying at a time of the year, it's not the worst thing to be doing. And it's a pro and con. We have to review both of those things in its totality in order to make sure that we can present you with something that's viable, just like the trash review was.
And I
So-
believe we did discuss in pretty good detail, giving people bags and the cost of the
Yeah.
bags, and more importantly, picking all the bags up. Is it easier to go out there and have to pick up 40 bags, 50 bags by hand at each house, or is it easier just to use the leaf machine and kind of suck them all up? So,
Yeah, so those things have not been thoroughly vetted at all. I would not even remotely be able to tell you that it has. So is there a better way to do it? I'm sure there is. Can we always do better? I guarantee we can. It's just we have to look at each one of those things, especially when you look at trying to take those man hours and put them to something, productive.
yeah.
Well, there's no doubt that man hours are going to have to be picking up bags if that's a possible route. I mean, there's no doubt you're not going to lose the man hours completely, so that's going to be, part of it for sure. Again, I just want to stress, I'm not blaming our city workers at all.
Right.
They did a good job. Darren said it was the best year, the least, but you still can't do it all. It's still in the curb. It's still in the storm sewers. You're still missing houses. Even on the best year, we're still missing. And not to mention, just they rake them out to their curb and we don't come for 3 weeks. And then it's the phone calls. Again, I'm determined that there's a better way. And if it's giving them bags for free, like I've said a couple years ago, we've talked about it. I just don't want to talk about this when the next piece of equipment needs to be bought. That needs to be put on the back burner again. That's all.
What are the conditions of the other two?
What, I'm sorry?
What are
The other two
conditions
leaf
of the
trucks,
other
what
two?
are the conditions?
Well, usually it takes us about 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, usually the first week before deer season. Then you got deer season in the middle where we lose half of our workforce.
No, I'm talking about.
He's talking about the
equipment.
trucks.
The leaf-
condition
the
of the
other
leaf
two
vacuum.
You
vacuums.
say we got three now.
We got two.
The other two, what condition are they in?
We have two. One of them is we just bought, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's not that old.
And the other one is a 2002 model. That's the one we're going to replace. We'll replace the older one and update it
But
with
we're
the
gonna have two good ones.
We'll only have two, yep.
If you buy it this month.
And last year we did have equipment breakdown as well. So I mean, we had two snow events at the same time.
Yeah, we
So
had,
again,
we did have a breakdown.
For us to go to be able to do this where it's an on-call, where you have your lease picked up and you expect it to be done in the next day, we'll never get to that, to where we're an on-call, we'll be there immediately. It will never, without fogging manpower and additional efforts to be that great of a service, it'll never get to that point. It will always be a patient, type situation. Again, we don't even know when the leaves are going to fall, those things. There's so many variables that go into it. Now, does a bag situation work? It could work, for sure. You're going to run into people that aren't going to put them in bags, and they just lay there and they end up in a curb and gutter anyway. So, not saying it won't happen, not saying we can't contract, not saying we can't do better. It's just those are a lot of variables that we have to kind of work out before we really come up with a better solution.
Tony, do you have any idea how many people take advantage of the service?
If I were to take a guess at it, you probably have 60% of the homes. Some people just don't have enough trees to warrant it. Some people just do nothing. Some of the neighborhoods, they have their own lawn services. and they usually grind them up and vacuum them up themselves.
I think this year was probably the biggest year for leaves to get picked up, because I noticed a lot of people had them out this year.
Yep.
And I think you guys did a commendable job by doing it. As far as what Jeff says about the sewers, the storm sewers and everything, if we don't supply them with some type of service and they don't do anything, it's gonna blow into the streets, blow into the sewers, and we're still gonna have the same problem.
This year also, it was compounded by the fact that not only did a lot of leaves come down early and people had some nice weather to get them piled up, we've had our sweeper running full time following our leaf pickup crew, and he's just done an amazing job keeping our grates clean. Even on days when it's freezing, frozen weather, he'll go out and clean out storm drains with the suction hose. So,
And I would keep in mind too, I mean, the individual resident, can always take their leaves to the recycling center, no cost. So there's a secondary option for the individual as well. Now, do we look at doing a hybrid maybe? To where you provide some bags as well? I don't know, we could look at that.
yeah, and we do get complaints throughout, oh, you missed our street, or you missed my house. It is not uncommon for our guys to call us and say, listen, we just went down the street and the people are raking leaves behind us. And it just doesn't make sense to keep looping these neighborhoods sometimes, so.
Well, the leaves actually fell perfect this year.
Yeah, they were
For
good.
the first round and the second round, I thought that the leaves fell perfect, and
Yeah.
people did their job of getting them out there, and I think you guys did a great job of picking them up, but you're not gonna have that every year.
You're not.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit here and hold up the process. I'm not trying to do that. I just want to make sure that we have the right communications, that if there's a better system out there, whether it is the bags, but maybe the bags take too much manpower to pick up. So I just want to keep that line of communication open on something else. I think it was 2 years ago when we bought the last piece, we brought it up, so.
We could even look at, another thing you could look at doing is, right now you do weekly, you do the first Monday of each week is your grass clipping.
pickup?
Yeah, sorry, your limb pickup week. We could look at maybe increasing that through the certain months. Maybe from November to December, just look at doing it more often. There's ways you could do a hybrid, I think,
Right.
that maybe could make a little more sense to kind of meet in the middle.
Or supply the bags and let the residents take them to the recycle center themselves.
Right.
We offer it, it's there.
Right.
I think it's worth, maybe getting some people together and having a conversation about it.
Yeah, we have our solid waste subcommittee. We talked about the recycling center a couple years ago, and that was going to be on the next thing once the landfill situation got sorted out, and we just haven't met since then. Other priorities have kind of taken over, and it really wasn't as big as issue this year because everything fell into place, really. So,
And Tony, I want to give you and everybody kudos. I've never seen the street sweeper in my neighborhood so much, ever. See him there a lot. And
Well, hopefully that's a good thing.
that's a real good thing. That's what I'm saying. I'm giving you kudos. I don't know if it's that.
Is there
that
too much
extra-
if Hydrant says it's?
I don't know if it's those pork steaks I left out there or not, but they're up in there all the time.
I think DNR really recommends every street gets hit about 4 times a year. So that used to be our goal, but I think we've exceeded that.
Oh, you've
Yes, you
exceeded
have.
that.
Yes, you have.
What
I just wanted to give you a kudos on that.
And what we're doing is, again, that is a direct benefit, again, from not having the trash recycling internally. We're able to focus those manpower on one specific job and do it very well. The street sweeper also has a GPS unit on it, just so anybody knows, so it spits out reports. If you want to know when it was last, just call me, I can get you that information. It's one of the vehicles in our fleet that has a GPS. So we did that so we could, document those things and send it to DNR for our MS4 permit. So we take mud, debris, leaves very seriously.
And the street sweeper is an actual truck too, that it can go fast.
Move fast.
It is. You
Point
raise
A
the hood
to
and
B.
yeah.
And
It's a different design. We'll work through the leaf machine first, and if you guys want to talk about the landfill a little bit.
We'll do that. We'll do that, Tony, internally. Come back with a report.
Okay, so are we going to buy a vacuum?
Second reading.
Ready?
Yeah.
An ordinance accepting the bid from Old Dominion Brush Company, ODB, Richmond, Virginia, to approve the purchase of a 2021 ODB DCL 800 TM14 leaf vacuum by the city of Washington. Holtmeyer,
aye.
Salentrop,
Yes.
Obermark,
Aye.
Patke,
Aye.
Wessels,
Aye.
Pettit,
Aye.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Scornia.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement between the City of Washington, Missouri and Cochran Engineering, Union, Missouri, for the repainting of Enduro and Clay Street storage tanks.
Solentrop.
Introduced by Councilman Solentrup.
We discussed this at the last meeting. This is the design contract, construction oversight contract, Cochran Engineering, to paint Enduro and Clay Street water towers. We are hoping to get those things done this year. They are budgeted, they do need to be completed, and we are asking your approval.
Any questions or comments? Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement between the City of Washington, Missouri and Cochran Engineering, Union, Missouri, for the repainting of Enduro and Clay Street storage tanks. Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Solentrop.
Yes.
Obermark,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Pettit,
Yes.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Scornia.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a First Amendment to farm lease by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Regal Dairy, Inc.
Solentrop.
Introduced by Councilman Solentrup.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so,
Cover both.
yeah, if you recall, I don't even know now, maybe 6, 9 months ago, we discussed the 2 farm leases that we have over at the landfill. One, Regal Dairy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Got the landfill on your
Yeah, I
mind.
was just looking at some photos. Regal Dairy and Missouri Meerschaum. Part of those lease, the actual lease boundaries were somewhat convoluted in the sense of that there were some smaller parcels that were making it kind of difficult for equipment and things to get turned around. So we were working with both lessees on how to try to make that operation a little bit better for them. And if we could find some common ground between the two, trading some property out and kind of squaring some fields off, that would be beneficial for both. In addition, I worked with Kevin Hellman on trying to find some green space, some lawns, some not pasture, but some of the areas that we were mowing to make sure that we were maximizing the farm production that we could at the landfill while minimizing the maintenance operation for mowing grass. So it's a positive, right? You get more in production, you get less grass mowing, everybody wins twice. So we did that. So we put together, did some surveying, got all that squared away, met with both lessees, and they were, I guess, somewhat excited about being able to farm 4 additional acres, both of them, over at the landfill. So it's about an 8-acre swing. Part of that, I think, Darren, there is in the Regal one, first right of refusal was
All those
extended.
original terms stayed in the.
Correct.
What was in the original lease?
Yep. So this would kind of clean that up and, kind of make a benefit for hopefully everybody involved.
So are we mowing 8 acres less now?
Yes.
Wow.
Goodness.
Yay.
That's why it was worth our while to bring it back to you.
Yep.
Any questions or comments? Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a First Amendment to farm lease by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Regal Dairy, Inc. Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Solentrop, Obermark,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Pettit,
Aye.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Scornia.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a Second Amendment to farm lease by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Missouri Meerschaum Company.
Hydrich.
Introduced by Councilman Hydrich.
This would be the, Missouri Meerschaum is the second leaseholder over at the airport. So again, since it was a boundary adjustment that added acreage, you'll have to amend both. And this is the second one.
Any questions? Okay.
I just have one, sorry, John, have they farmed this before? Or is this something that we was actually in grass and now we're gonna allow them to farm?
Which they?
The Meerschaum, Regals, either one?
Yeah, no, there is, hold on, let me make sure I get this right. The area, this is the area to the west towards towards Dutza, towards Lake Creek, that was not farmed before. It was not in production before.
Okay.
That acreage will go to Regal.
Right.
Okay? The area to the Washington side, to the Missouri River side, to the south, I guess. There's actually a swap there, that there was acreage that was not farmed before, that was in the Meerschaum lease at the end of the runway.
Right.
There were a couple little strips. That will go to Regal. And then there's an area just to the south of that will go to Meerschaum to square the fields off. So to answer your question, kind of a combination of both.
Right, okay.
So it
Some
just
has
kinda
actually been
squares
swapped and
everything
some's
off.
been added on to.
Yeah, a couple pockets that were, 2 planter widths wide, that were kind of hard to get equipment turned around, and those type of things that we were able to swap out.
I didn't hear the word swap a while ago, and I knew that was happening. I wanted to make sure we were doing
Yeah.
it one to the other, that's all. Okay.
It's entity A got a little bit of entity B, but entity A got some from the city to kind of make up that, so square the fields off.
Okay, so, go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a second amendment to farm lease by and between the city of Washington, Missouri and Missouri Meerschaum Company. Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Solentra,
Yes.
Obermark,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Pettit,
Aye.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Scornia.
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
A resolution authorizing the city of Washington to apply for funding through the East-West Gateway Council of Governments to provide for the Front Street ADA Improvements Project in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Solentrap.
It's a resolution.
So he just made the motion.
Yes.
He just made the motion. So, anyway. Okay, did you,
Yes, this is a resolution for the project I discussed earlier. It will have a 4,228, I think. Is that the number? $4,228 application fee. That if we do not get the grant, it is refundable, so.
okay. So we have a motion by Solentrep. Do we have a second by Patke? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you pass the resolution.
Mayor's report.
We have the notice here that our next meeting will be on Tuesday, February 16th, due to the President's Day holiday. So in January and February, we always move our meetings one day. So that's that. That's really all I have.
City Administrator's report.
The only thing I wanted to go ahead and bring to your attention, I know we had discussed this, there was a request in the past, as you know, from the Chamber of Commerce to go ahead and relieve them of some of their payments to us with regards to our Economic Development Director's salary. As we've had this agreement in place since the beginning of when the first Economic Development Director was hired back in 1987. It has changed over the years as far as the percentage, but back in 2017, we had an agreement that we had with them where they would pay up to 30% of his salary. They requested, as you know, August to December of 2020 to go ahead. They were making monthly payments towards that fee. And they requested that those be waived for the rest of 2020. We approved that, and then at the end of 2020 in December, they came to us with the request to go ahead and relieve them for all of 2021. With that, though, what we did do was go to the Washington Civic Industrial Corporation. They have some money set aside in their account. They have provided the city with $9,000 check to that effect to go ahead and cover 1/3 of it. The other third was the Industrial Development Authority last week also gave us a check for $9,000 to cover. So basically, for what I'm reporting to you is, I believe it's $9,300 and change, basically, is the only thing that we would be out. Basically, that would cover primarily the first few months that they had requested it in 2020 anyway. So I just want to let you know that we've received 2/3 of that, but thanks to the WCIC and Industrial Development Authority to go ahead and help with that. So that's basically all I have, but I do have a couple items for you in executive session when it's ready. Sorry.
Council comments.
Any comments this evening?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring something up. After listening to Wayne talk about the swimming pool and the losses of $131,000, I sat here and thought about it a while, and I started thinking about what I was thinking about last week. And, you know, I'm going to go all over the board here, so hang on, people.
Oh, boy.
You know, the school districts are taking their kids back to school 5 days a week now, which is good. And I think we're going in the right direction as far as this COVID. And we're losing money at the swimming pool, $131,000. That's a lot of money. But then we sit here and we talk about not being able to rent out our facilities. I think that we need to sit down and talk about this again because, you know, these people that want to rent our facilities are going other places and renting other places. We're not making the money off of these people that we want to make because they're going somewhere else. You know, for an example, the KC Hall, the Elks, you know. So if you got the Stomp, they're looking for a place, and now's the time for them people to start doing their planning for spring. You have the Stomp, you got, what's the other one? The Food Stock. You got downtown want to do their events, and the Chamber wants to do their events, and we're missing out on all this money. And I think that we could come up with a different solution other than just wearing masks and going through the metric system, which I understand that people should wear masks, and I think that it's a good thing. But I think that we need to come up with a different idea for our facilities to be rented out this year. And I don't know what we can do, but I've been thinking about it, and, you know, I'm going to ask Mark, is there such a thing as a liability waiver that the city could use?
You could do that in a lot of cases, though. There's a question of whether those things are even enforceable. In order to really be enforceable, people have to be advised of all of the potential risks involved in whatever the activity is.
Well, couldn't you put that in the waiver?
You can, but how many people read those things?
Well,
I will comment, Steve, with the sense of, I think it's not for mass gatherings of 50 or more, but our facilities, now that there was 2 out of the 3 were in yellow for this week, those are open up now for like the auditorium, et cetera, and those types of functions. Large scale, that's still something that, you know, I mean, obviously the biggest, largest scale thing is the fair. And I had a conversation with JB, you know, a week or 2 ago, and her question was, well, how's the city approaching it? I said, well, as far as we're concerned, we anticipate you having a fair this year. And so we're moving towards that direction. If you guys want to change that metric up with regards to it, that's a whole nother thing with regards to, that's the
let's
first.
suppose that it doesn't happen, and we're going into, it gets, you know, we all know we were at, what, 3 out of 4 almost there the last time, and then, you know, who knows what's going to happen in a couple of weeks. Okay, now, let's just say it goes all the way till when they want to open up the pool. Are you only going to allow 50 people in our swimming pool? And you're sitting here, you're going to have how many thousand people they're going to want to put in there?
Those are, to answer that question, those are sporting activities are viewed a little bit differently due to the fact that they do not, that's not a mass gathering of everybody standing on top of one another. So, for example, even last year, when we would
It's a
have
facility of
sporting.
the city of Washington.
I know, but the point is, if you had a sporting event, that people would be spread out, they wouldn't all be huddled together. That was the intent behind the thing. So to answer your question about the pool, no, it wouldn't be, you know, limited to that as long as everybody could go ahead and keep some distance. Would there be a limit? I guess we would follow what other cities have done last year. Obviously, we didn't have to worry about this last year because we started building the pool. I don't know, I can't tell you the firsthand knowledge of what other pools did. I know that they were open. I don't know if they had additional restrictions with regards to occupancy loads.
Well, I think to add what Steve's saying, though, is whether it be downtown, whether it be the chamber, whether it be anybody, you can't plan. You know, you can't look at your email this morning and decide if you're going to have an event on Saturday. Right. That doesn't work. That's not possible. I understand the matrix, but anything looking forward, you have to know in advance in order to plan something. And I think that's where we have to at least, whether you're optimistic or whether we're realistic, but you have to be able to plan something like that.
It's just something to think about, and I'm thinking in maybe a month or so, we need to discuss it again and think about it.
Maybe in a month, and all the metrics might be yellow, and we don't have to worry about it.
But we might go 3 out of 4 again, then we're back to 0.
Well,
You know, we got,
It's a pandemic.
we're in Franklin County, and we're the only city in Franklin County that tells people they can't use the city facilities. Every other city is letting them rent them out.
I don't know that that would be the case with our ball field, Steve, because there was a lot of people that came to us from St. Louis.
Well, yeah.
This last year, used our ball fields because they could not use them in those locations.
Did they use it right off the bat? No. It was
Pretty
halfway
close.
through
I
the
don't-
season when they started it.
I don't know when Kent Getzey started his team, but that was the first case I can remember that was out there.
Well, I'm just saying, we need to think about it, and talk
That's-
about it again.
That's absolutely correct. That's fine.
St. Louis City and County is open, well, a lot of their restaurants are a percentage of capacity. Is that something we could look at 25, 50% capacity of whatever facility would hold? And throwing it out there. So.
Well, as you all know, in Franklin County, we've either had 0, which was at the very beginning, or back to pretty much 100%.
Yeah, so how do we go forward with, like you said, you told JB, well, where I see it, you're gonna have your fair. Well, how can they plan that? How can they go through everything and get all the planning done months ahead, and then come July, we're 3 out of 4, and we're,
I can't speak for all of them, but the comments that I've had from them, well, like with regards to JB, there's provisions in their contract, especially for their entertainment, knowing full well that if something comes up, that they're not out, you know, et cetera. So those things have been put into those contracts. Another conversation I had was with East Central College that puts on a free jazz concert in May. I know that he's moving forward with plans to go ahead and do that. They've even looked at the possibility that if they would have to at that time, you know, put people in pods on the grass saying, here you go, that's your area right here, because some outside venues have done that successfully or whatever to keep people, you know, not on top of each other. So all I can say is the ones that I've talked to, they're all planning as if that's gonna go, and they just know that you never know. That's how they,
Well,
unfortunately, that's how they've had it.
I just want everybody to keep that behind their head and think about it, and we'll discuss it again if that's all right.
Yeah, the more vaccines, the better.
Yeah. Everything's going, I think, the direction it needs to go, but we just can't sit and wait and then do something. We gotta do something. We have to plan.
Mark, I suppose our numbers have been declining. Why don't you? If you want to look into your crystal ball.
Good evening, council. Yes, as reported, you know, the numbers have all been going down. You know, we've made it, you know, past gatherings, if you will, you know, Christmas and New Year's gatherings and stuff, and as a result, you've seen the you know, numbers going down. The average daily numbers, the infection ratio, you know, all those things, they're all going down, as was pointed out. You know, this week we're 2 out of 3. So, you know, we can continue to hope that they continue to go down, you know, what we've been watching.
Mark, what do you do in 3 weeks, and we're 2 out of 3, and the second one is just barely over what it needs to be? Are you gonna stretch it back, or are you gonna take it forward? Are you gonna help us, or are you gonna?
Well, the ordinance is, whatever the ordinance is.
The ordinance is clear. You know, now,
Yeah.
if you want to change that, that's the prerogative
I know.
of this
It would just
body.
really, would be, I can't say the word, but. I would hate to see it lose it on the 3rd week if it's just so close, you know, and just.
Councilman, I'm in your corner. I would love to see everything go
I would
down
love to
and-
see
and
that
get
too.
back to normal too.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, let's just
we'll
hope.
keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Going
It
the
is
right
good to
direction,
see
stay that
some,
way.
Yep.
some other colors besides red.
I hear you.
Yeah.
You know, it's refreshing to see things getting better.
Yes, very
You know,
good.
one of the things I've noticed is being an old retired math teacher, I have a lot of time on my hands. And so I take Mark's numbers every week, and I jot 'em, and I play with ratios and proportion, everything on it. And for a zip code with our population, we've done well. So I hope it gets there. I mean, this was encouraging to see this one, and we can now open things up. And I hope it keeps going. But I think what we've done, I think we have results, and things are better. and they're getting better, and hopefully it will continue.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay,
City's Attorney's Report, public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Overmark,
Aye.
Wessels,
Aye.
Patke,
Yes.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Stellentrop.
Yes.
Hendrich,
Aye.
Gornia.
Yes.
Pettit.
okay. Somebody want to take, you want to take Rick home? You want to, what about Rick?
You're good.
I'm gonna run home.
What?
Hang on a second.
See you, Big John.
See you guys.
Hey, Rick, I think,
Back room.
Hey, you told her the lights.
or the microphones.